Hey girl, happy Monday. Can you believe it's already Monday? I feel like I'm like, can you believe it's Friday? Can you believe it's Monday? Can you believe it's Friday? Can you believe it's Monday? I don't understand what's happening. What is happening with time? It's just like this weird warp speed that we are experiencing. I don't get it. Is it because we were in, the pandemic for so long and now, I don't know, we see a light or something? It's just cray cray over here. Anyways, it is Monday. I'm so hopeful that you're having a great morning already. By the time you're listening to this episode, I am thrilled to bring you today's conversation. This is a deep dive with a prior student and client of mine, Julianna Barbati from the E-commerce Mama podcast. And we are going deep into where she started with me a year and a half ago, which blows my mind to think that it was just a year and a half ago, where we sat down together and she's like, I don't know, but maybe I know. And we started out and then I totally saw a different direction for her business, and through her open-heartedness and her surrender to that concept, she has been able to truly break through massive barriers. And I am not just talking about barriers in her business, guys. I am talking about barriers in her mindset, barriers in her faith, praise God, barriers left and right. And I'm so excited for you to hear about this because this isn't just about a win. This isn't just about hearing what it's like to coach with me or hearing what it's like to take my stuff. That's great. But what this is about is a true testimony of believing in yourself, of doing the work of recognizing that being in the messy middle is an honor. Being in the messy middle is part of the glory that comes when you keep pushing through. And Julianna is such a testament to that because she laid down every distraction. She laid down all the different coaches. She laid down all the things that she was recognizing were keeping her from ultimate growth. And then she forged ahead. I'm crazy about this story. So you guys, please take a listen, zone in. I pray that this blesses you big. I can't wait for you to hear about all of her breakthroughs from having 50,000 downloads on her show to going from an atheist to faith-filled. You heard that right. To having 2 courses in her suite, coaching clients, and feeling like her life is finally on the path to where God is calling her to go. Grab a seat. Let's do this. Hey friend, welcome to the Stephanie Gass Show, where you can get clarity on your calling, use your gifts for glory, and create a kingdom business. I believe that when we come together as daughters of the King, we will create true change here on earth. And we're raising up little world changers, mamas. Yes, and amen to that anointing over our lives. I believe we can also do this while having a ton of fun. You're here for PJs all day, lukewarm coffee, building passive income businesses, and using your voice for impact by podcasting and spreading your message into the world. You are in the right place. It's time to let God light our path so we can experience true miracles. Let's get pumped up for today's show. Hello, my sweet friend. You guys, I'm hanging out with Julianna Barbati from E-commerce Mama podcast. And she's with me today because she's just near and dear to my heart. She's one of my favorite human beings. She's a longtime client. We have been together in a serious relationship, y'all, for 1.4 months, 1.5 months, 1.5 years. Oh my goodness. We are not dating. We are in a serious relationship, Julianna. Anyway, she came on because I think it's so fun for you guys to hear what it's like to go through the entire Stephanie Gass roadmap, to go through the courses, to go through the coaching experiences, and to see like what comes out the other side and how long does it really take? And then what are the other like miracles or things that happen throughout this time of being obedient to one thing or one process. So that's why Julianna's here today. I'm so excited for you guys to meet her. So hello, my friend.
Hi, I'm so excited to be on your show.
Me too. Start us off with like, what's your show called? What's it about? And what do you do so that everybody has the vision as we go backwards in time?
Okay, so my show is called the E-commerce Mama Podcast, and I teach mamas how to grow and, of course, launch as well their Etsy shops and Amazon stores. That's really what I do. That's my knowledge is Amazon and Etsy. So I met with you a year and a half ago almost, and I was like, Steph, I want to talk about online marketing. And I told you what I did, and you were like, no, you have to talk about Amazon or Etsy. And I'm like, no, we're not. And you pushed me that direction. And here I am a year and a half later talking about Amazon and Etsy, and it has changed my life.
Right. And here's why. Like, so when I remember meeting with Julianna a year and a half ago, and I was sitting outside, I remember being on my patio for our meeting for some reason. And I remember her telling me, I'm going to do beginner mom boss stuff. And we're going to talk about like starting an email list. And I was like, hold on. Like, what have you actually done? You know? And she was like, well, we've grown 6-figure Amazon businesses and Etsy shop. I'm like, excuse me? Did you just hear what came out of your mouth? Like, there are so many women that would love to learn how to do that. That's incredible. And we have to build a business around that. And so that's where we really started a year and a half ago. And kind of walk us through, what was your journey? So after that first call with me, what were your first steps and what courses did you take? And how did you begin that process of bringing that idea into the world?
Okay, so I actually resisted the idea for a while. So if you go back to my podcast, which used to be called the Beginner Mom Boss, the first 10 episodes or so were like very bloody blah and very vanilla, talking like super like high level stuff, you know. And then you sat me down and you're like, girl, what are you doing? Because by that point I had taken PPU, and then we started together on a podcast to profit.
Right.
And you were like, and I got the coaching with you because I'm like all in. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to be all in.
Right.
So then I had also got the one-on-one coaching with you, and you're like, no, you really need to talk about this. And I was in my pod, you know, my friends, and I was like, Steph is making me do this and I don't want it. And I'm like so uncomfortable, but whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to listen to Steph, because I look at your life and what you have, and I'm like, I want that for myself too. And there's another thing, you know, like I did have the successful Amazon store, but I built that with my husband. And then I started an Etsy shop, and I did that all on my own. But I still wanted that one thing. I still wanted to teach mamas. That has always been in my heart. Like, how do I teach mamas to make money? Because in 2015, so here's the story. I met my husband while I was backpacking in Europe. 3 months later, I found out I was pregnant. So then we got married, and I made enough money back then for like to live the single life. But all of a sudden, I had to support my husband. He could not legally work in the United States. So we found ourselves living in a studio apartment next door to a drug dealer, where the cop was like knocking on our door, asking about the neighbor. And then like little by little, we worked ourselves out of that situation. And my husband was, of course, able to get a job. And then in 2018, we started this Amazon store, and then little by little, you know, it started taking off. So I was like, I remember what it was like being in that studio apartment next door to a drug dealer, wanting to make money from home with a little baby, but I couldn't. And in 2018, like there was the answer. So I was like, I have to talk about this. Not that it's easy, right? Like it didn't happen overnight, but I have to talk about this after you like made me own it, right, Steph? Because for the longest time I resisted it, and I was like, Steph, I can't. Like I feel like major imposter syndrome. But I'm so glad, I'm so thankful to God that you made me do it, that I listened to you, because here we are.
Here we are. And so you went through, I think we all do this. Like we start with an idea or a concept, and we're kind of afraid of niching down. We're afraid of finding the one thing and going there, because we have all these fears like, well, who am I? Well, won't I miss out on everyone else who doesn't want this one thing? And what you've proven is that when you niched down, that's really when the floodgates started to burst open. And you rebranded to e-commerce mama. And then you went through P2P, and through P2P, we ended up building your course suite out, which you now have. You've sold multiple courses. You've had lots of clients at this point that you've been able to help successfully start their own Amazon shops and Etsy stores and begin to make that profit and that money. And y'all's store is multi 6 figures at this point, which is absolutely blows my mind. My husband, like every time I bring you up, he's like, so why are you not hiring Julianna to teach us to do this? I'm like, I don't have time. You hire Julianna, take her courses, and she'll teach you, babe. So funny. Cause I tell him all the time about you. So you had all of this come out of this program, right? So tell us about the wins, and when did you start seeing the wins? Because I think something I want to dissect with you is how we've only been together a year and a half. That's not even a long time. So when were you starting to already see, like, quote unquote, I think this is working, or feel like you're starting to see that success?
So I think definitely when I saw the downloads started to go up as we were working together, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. I hit 1,000 downloads, and it had been like 2 months after we started working together, because I launched the podcast in May because I wanted to be in P2P with you. I was like, I have to do this. So I launched, I think, May 15th, and we started like a few days later. So when I started P2P, I had 0 downloads, like everything. But by the end of it, I think I had 1,000 downloads, if not more.
Right.
And then, so we started in May, and then in August, I got my first client. And it was right after I started pitching, because up until that point, I think for the first month and a half or 2 months, I didn't even really pitch coaching. It was when you and I sat down together, and I was like, okay, like, let's do this, start pitching the coaching. And then a few episodes later, somebody booked me, and I was like, OMG. And
I remember that moment too.
Yeah, I went live in the group, and I was like, you guys, this is amazing. This is so cool. It's working.
I know. And I remember you distinctly being like, please stop following all the coaches and just do what Stephanie says. Like, you got you felt so strongly about finding your coach and mentor and turning off every other voice, because you were seeing success through that.
Yes. Steph.
Talk to me about that. Because I think for a while you had all these different voices, different coaches, different programs that you were trying to find the right way for you. What was that like? And how did you know it was me? And then how did you turn off all the voices and get rid of all that distraction?
So in 2019, I think I spent about $4,000 buying courses. One of them was this really popular lady. She's probably the OG in like the female online marketing space. And I bought her course, and it was $2,000. And it was pretty much, to have a successful online business, you need a website and an email list and, do marketing. And I was like, okay, that was a lot of money for this, it was a lot of hype. And then later on, the same year, I bought another course, but this other lady, she's very well known for like courses, digital courses. And I bought her course, and it was like such a disappointment, because again, it was $2,000, and the videos were like 5 minutes, and it was a whole lot of reading. And I'm like, I have 2 babies. Like, I can't sit here and read all these PDFs. I need like a visual, I need somebody to talk to me. So that was a disappointment. And I was so burned out, because I really wanted to bring in an extra stream of income. And I really wanted to prove to myself that I could start this business by myself. So then fast forward 2020, we're in the middle of a pandemic. And I actually found you through Kathy Heller's podcast. And it's funny because I was overthinking something, and I actually went on podcast, and I searched how to stop overthinking. Her podcast came up, and I was like, okay, I like this lady. But then I listened to your podcast, and I was like, this is my girl. I don't know. I'm not sure about this, but I'm going to start listening to her. Right. So then I like binged your episodes, like all of them. And you actually had, at that point, you had the Pinterest course on sale. And I was like, I'm not going to buy anything because I'm just so burned out. I'm just not going to do it. And then like a few weeks later, you did the BBB. Yes. And I was like, I'm not going to buy. And the last day I was like, I can't, I'm going to buy. And it was just like the best decision of my life. I'm just so glad that I'm like, I don't know who this girl is, but I feel like she knows me, and we're gonna be good friends. So we're just gonna do this. And it was
look, you spoke that into existence. We are good friends. I remember too, like after you first hired me, and your husband would call me like the crazy Christian lady. Yeah. Because he'd hear me like praying in our sessions. He's like, who are you working with? What is her deal? So funny.
Yeah, he would like walk in and it would be like praying in the middle of their mastermind. I was like, what are you doing? I thought this was a business mastermind. I was like, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. And yes, she's the crazy Christian, but she's going to make us money. So go away. It's fine, honey. It's fine. It's fine. So that's an amazing story. And I think after you had experienced all these mainstream coaches and you're realizing time and time again, I'm left feeling disappointed. And that's not to bash anyone in the industry, but it is to have a high level of discernment over who you buy from and why. And I think if there's any advice you have for people, Julianna, what is that? Like, what should you be looking for when you go in with, let's say you have $1,000 and it's all you have, and you're like, I need to spend this money. How do you know what coach is right? How do you discern through if their stuff is going to be cotton candy or truly life-changing? Like, is there a way to know that before you spend your money?
So for me at this point, like I have to see, like, are you relatable to me? Do you have the life I want to have? Or are you just like super high end, like fluffy coach with like all the bells and whistles? Like, or are you the real deal? And I look at your life and I'm like, okay, she's like an amazing mom. She works like 26 hours a week. She's an awesome wife. Like, that's what I want for my life. I don't want to be the super fancy coach, always traveling and like doing all these things, because that's not my life. So can you relate to them? Like, are they in a position that you want to be in? I don't want to be on social. I hate social. And by the way, Steph, I just want to say this.
Yeah.
You just did your 4-week challenge.
Yes.
And I just want to say that when my Amazon store hit 6 figures, we had 87 followers. So this idea that you need all these followers to make money, not true.
Not true.
And for my Etsy shop, I don't even have an Instagram for that shop. And for the first year of that shop, I made 15 grand.
Wow.
So this idea that you need Instagram, because you don't. And even now, currently, my Instagram that I use for, my personal, for the e-commerce mama, I only have like 400 followers, but I still have a thriving business. So one does not correlate to the other. Like, having a thriving Instagram, that means nothing.
It means nothing. And you deleted the socials a long time ago. You sat in that for a really long time.
Well, here's the thing. On a scale from like 1 to Snowden, I'm like a 7 on like the privacy scale. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, close the windows, close everything. So I don't have Instagram and Facebook installed on my phone because they spy on you.
They do.
So I have an old iPhone that I have this stuff installed there. So for me to actually log in, and I don't have that hooked up to my Wi-Fi. So I have to use like whatever community Wi-Fi. So for me to actually log into my Instagram, it's such a pain in the butt that by the time that I'm in, I'm like, I'm out, I'm exhausted. Like, I can't be here. And the other thing too is if it's my luteal phase or my menstrual phase, so the week before my period and my period, I can't be on because my energy is so fragile at that point that I'm like, I can't. So I'm like online for like 2 weeks out of the month, and it's just like, hey, I'm here. How are you guys doing? But I'm not trying to build and grow the Instagram account. It's really to connect with people that already know me from the podcast.
Which is what I've been saying this whole time. Like, people on social are already your people.
Yeah.
Totally. Like, the only people I talk to on Instagram is like Julianna, and like people who are already working with me. It wasn't growing my business. And for you to say like that you didn't need that, I would say that's absolutely true, because, and I can't remember where we were, but we'll come back to that, because today, I mean, you have 50,000 downloads on your podcast. That is 1.4 to be exact months into working with me. 50,000 download podcasts. Like I was telling you earlier, I believe that I only have about 5 students who have since passed the 50,000 benchmark. That's a huge number. I don't have this exact stat, and I'm going to go look it up, because I know that it's less than 5% of podcasts, if not smaller. It might even be the 1% ever pass that number. Wow. So I want you to realize, like, you're big leagues, yo. Like, you're doing it. You're doing this and it's working, and you're finding success, and you're blessing these women who desperately are looking for this way to make money. And even if it's just part-time money from home, like, what an incredible blessing that you can bring to their lives and help people. So all of that. And all of that also to say that you don't need Instagram to do it. You don't need Facebook to do it. I've proven that. Julianna's proven that. You've heard lots of people share on my podcast about that. Bless it and release it, delete it completely. I'm so here for that. Like, let it go.
Totally.
So I think, where we were was the coaches. Like, how do they discern through? So looking for authenticity, you said, look for relatability, look for how they live their life. There are some of these influencers and initial podcasters, Julianna, that I would listen to. And it never clicked for me. Like, oh my gosh, they have 50 stories a day. And I'm going, oh, I love their show. I should do everything they're doing, without putting on this discernment hat or like asking my heart, do you really want to live that life? Do you really want your calendar to look like that? Do you really want to never see your family, to idolize your phone, to ignore everyone around you for the sake of seeing who looks at your stories? Like, do you really want that for your life? It's so sad. And it's disheartening to see that these are the people influencing from high places. So don't just do it because everyone says that's the big coach or because you're getting blasted with their ads. Oh, they must be the successful person. Go to the root of who they are. And how do you know that? Well, go listen to their podcast. I think pray. God will show you too. Like he will tell me like, shut that door. Something will be revealed to me. I'll see something in scripture that's like, no. So pray, go look at the root of who they are and ask yourself, what does their calendar actually look like? And what are they standing for? Like, what are they standing for? Right, Julianna? Like what were you hearing come out of the mouths of the women that you bought from initially? It was probably money, money, money,
right?
Overnight success, overnight success, overnight success. And you're over here listening to me and I'm like slapping you. You're like, oh my gosh. Okay. So let's talk about this. Your faith grew after being with me. Can you talk to us about that? Like, what does that mean? And I remember a DM that you sent me and I'll share it after we hear your answer as well. Cause I think this is really fun for people to hear. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I just want to go back and just say one thing. These coaches, they all create FOMO. They all create FOMO in your life and you don't do that. You are like, this is how we're doing this and it's going to take time, but you got this. And there's no FOMO in your stuff. Right. You're so like honest about everything. So I just want to say that, but
thank you.
Anyway, so growing up, I was like hardcore Christian. I taught Sunday school, like as a teacher.
I didn't know this about you.
Yeah, I was like super like hardcore Christian. But then after I had kids, I really started like, I don't know, questioning things and things didn't make sense to me and things that I had learned in like my religion, like they weren't adding up. And I just was so overwhelmed with anger. And then you add that to the fact that I wasn't sleeping, I was tired, I was overwhelmed and all these things and like things were just not adding up. So then I did a 180 and I became like atheist. I was like, no, this doesn't like, God doesn't exist. There's no way. Like I was just so angry. And then that never really sat well with me because I was like, I don't know if I'm really atheist, but I am like, this is just my label for now. And then I think by the time that I found you, I was like, you know what? I think I'm agnostic. I'm not sure about this, but you know, I think that's the route we're going. And then little by little, you really started softening up my heart and you were talking about it. And I remember when I met you, I was like, is she really this Christian? Like, can somebody really be this Christian? I don't know, you know? And I think, you know, over this year and a half, I have learned so much. And I can say now that I know God exists. You know, just the other day, I was thinking about, you know, like we all have fingerprints that are like our own, like how amazing is that? It's like the simplest things, but like this didn't just happen by chance, you know? And I had a really beautiful experience in nature a few months ago. And I was just like, wow, like I was just so overwhelmed with everything around me. And I was like, there's no way that this was just came out of nowhere. This is not a fluke, you know? And just like looking at the trees and like seeing that they all have like this markings. And I was at the beach and I was like, look at this tiny itty bitty shells. Like, this is amazing, you know? And I was just like so overwhelmed with love and joy. And that just like solidified, like, there is something way bigger than us, something that we don't understand, but there's something there, you know, and God does exist. And then I have been, and I think also this year has been a season of surrender for me because I have moved 11 times this year. And four of these times were internationally. So a lot of things happened. You know, we moved to Portugal thinking it was going to be like this super life-changing experience, which was, but it was not what I was expecting.
Right.
And I one day I was like really angry and I wasn't really firm on the faith yet. And I was like, God, if you exist, can you please tell me where this is happening to me? And I was so angry. And the voice was like, because you need to learn to surrender. And I was pissed. I was like, what do you mean? But it made sense because I had to surrender so much. And I was like, okay, all right, we're going to surrender from here on out. And I didn't, you know, you say you are, but then you don't. But then like things started happening. And I was really like surrendering. And once I let go of that power and that control, I was able to hear God and have answers, you know, and he communicates with me and it's amazing. Like the other day I woke up at like 6 a.m. and he said to me, check in with this client of yours. And the only way I communicate with her is on Instagram. So I never do this, like me 6 a.m. on Instagram, but I messaged her And I was like, hey, how are you doing? And she was like, I'm going to quit. I'm not cut out for this. Like this isn't going to happen. So I started talking to her, like legit doing free coaching, like at 6 a.m. on IG. And I was like, you can't quit. Like, let's talk about this. And I was like, listen, I'm not ever on Instagram at this time of the day. And I woke up and I heard from God to come talk to you. This is not by chance. Like, don't give up. You got this. And here she is. She bought the coaching for me. She bought the 2 courses that I have, and she's moving through with it, you know, and it's all God. Yeah. There's no other explanation for it.
That's amazing. I love that. I'm curious as to when you first hired me, were you like, oh my gosh, she's Christian, I can't hire this woman? Like, was that a deterrent for you initially?
That wasn't. So it's funny because I was like stalking you, and then I saw a picture of your husband and I was like, her husband is a hunter. I'm vegan. How is this going to work out? But I was like, no, like this is okay because Steph has the life I want, and I respect her for like what she's done, and she doesn't hunt. And then I see a picture of you hunting and I'm like, she hunts too. Oh. But you know, I think it's the growth that you go through of like, this doesn't change who you are as a person. Like, yeah, I am vegan, you're a hunter, and that's okay. We can still coexist. I think we can still love each other and like love our differences, and that's okay. So you being Christian, that didn't really deter me because I have actually always looked up to people who are like, even like on the Orthodox side, and they're like super religious. Like I've always loved that in people, you know, people who are like super religious and they have like this faith in God. I always thought that was beautiful. And like when the Jehovah's Witness knocks on my door, we have conversations like that are hours long, you know? So
you just love people though. You're so good. Like you love people. You're so accepting. And to say, and yes, it's so cute because like Julianna's vegan, but we totally love kombucha. We have that in common. Yes. And I learned to recycle. And Julianna was teaching me that my recycling wasn't good enough. I needed to focus on not having anything to recycle. And that is when you're doing good for the environment. So like, it's so great because I think we've learned so much from each other, and knowing that you can be different from people and still absolutely transform their life, because everyone is beautifully, uniquely, and wonderfully made, and everyone is different. And like you said, we have different fingerprints, and the fingerprints are not just on our hands, they're on our lives. Yeah. And we have this beautiful fingerprint that we go leave across the planet, and everybody's is different. And I think that's such a beautiful thing about who you are. So it just blesses me big that God brought you home, you know, and that you say that I helped soften your heart there. Like that lights my entire soul on fire. I just hope, you know, like I'm going to be like on cloud 9 for the rest of the weekend. So,
and I really mean this. It's been amazing. And like, you know, so it's not just the business side. It's like this faith side that you like helped bring home to me. You know, you cannot always find answers. There are things you cannot comprehend, but yeah, thank you for
the faith. And it's all, that's everything. It's faith unseen. And then the funny part is, as soon as you start believing in faith unseen, you start seeing it. Like you said, like I every time I'm outside and my aspens are blowing, I know there's angels in those trees. And I'm like, hi. Like, I'm just like, I know you're there. Like I can feel it. And like on a hike in nature, that's why I love mountain biking so much. I feel the presence of God. And so I get that. And it's funny because until you believe in something unseen, you can't see. And it's a really hard concept for people to grasp. So I'm so proud of you for opening your heart again to that. And it's funny because I remember you telling me, you came in my DMs one day and you said, Stef, I love your business episodes, right? Like I'm trying to find your business episodes. And then you'll do a faith episode. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I should listen to her faith episode. And then you'll listen to it and be like, dang it, if I wasn't supposed to hear that, you know, like those were helping you and transforming you. And so I think the word there for everybody listening is be 100% who you are, because you don't know what your fingerprints will do for someone else. And that's Julianna being crunchy and bringing her recycling stuff. Like sometimes she talks about those things that are who she is, even through her, you know, e-commerce mama podcast. So be who you are. That's the authenticity we're talking about. That's how people know if you're for them. Yeah. Okay. So
absolutely. Like just relate to them. And like, are you learning from them? Even outside of the business, like, is there something else that you're learning from? And you're like, you know what? I can totally see myself sitting down with this person and they're not going to judge me. They're going to see me for who I am. And that's that. Like, I don't feel like I could have done that with these other fancy coaches, right? Like I would feel judged all the time. But with you, I'm like, come to Florida. Let's go to Disney together. It'll be awesome.
It'll be so much fun. You know, we're going to Disney World at the end of October.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
We are. So fun. So the other, I think let's end on this topic. What would you say to people who are starting this journey? They're starting the Stephanie Gass business model, which is number one, get clarity on your calling and be unapologetic about micro niching in. Number two, you're going to start this podcast. You're going to feel unqualified to start. That's going to be a slow grow, but it's a commitment to creating trust in your person. You're playing the long game there. That way you can let go of social, let go of hustle. You can work smaller hour work weeks, but yet make a bigger impact. And then finally, create this course or this program or offer coaching that's going to monetize this whole business. They're hearing you, they're hearing these other success stories on the show, but maybe they're at the beginning. What do you have to say to them? What's going to make this work? What encouragement, what deterrence might they come against? Like whatever you have for them.
Okay. So first of all, listen to you 100%. You know, like if I had surrendered to you, like for this 5-10 episodes, I feel like I'd be even farther ahead, you know, if I had owned who I was. So listen to you because you have walked the path and you have the vision, which is another thing I want to say too. Like you talk to so many different people in so many different niches and you see the vision for their business that they don't even see themselves. And you have no idea what it is that they're doing. And that's God. Like that's God speaking through you and giving you the vision, you know? So just listen to you 100%. And your mindset needs to be on point because you're going to be battling your own self. So put your head down and work. And like you always say, rinse and repeat, because it's not going to be, you know, the TikToks or the reels or whatever fancy things that are going to grow your business. Like it's the authenticity, showing up consistently and not giving up when things get hard. Because when things get hard, that's like, okay, I'm going to push a little bit harder to get over this. And like I said, for me, I know that when it's the week before my period or the week of my period, I overthink a lot. So I know not to quit my business like during those weeks because I know I'm just overthinking. That's what my hormones are doing to me. But, you know, I just keep on tracking, keep on moving forward because I could have, you know, given up because I didn't think like to me, 50,000 downloads. I'm like, is that even good? It wasn't until today that I found out it's good, you know?
Yeah.
And just keep going through it. It'll get hard. But I think especially when you get to the point where you are in P2P, which I've done twice. And you are
and she wants to do it a third time because she's a lifer, you guys. Julianna's like, so how would you feel if I did P2P again? And I was all, girl, bring it. It's my like dream come true.
Yes, I am so here for it. You know, and yeah, once you get to the point that you're working one-on-one with you, and it is an investment. It is. But my husband at this point, he's like, just do it. Like he just nods, like he just knows, you know, and he sees what you've done to me, you know, and for me. So he's like totally on board. And I think if you have those spouses that are like not on board, once they start seeing the transformation, they'll be like, okay, I'm digging this, you know?
Yep. Yes. Cause you're like everything's an outset of you seeing that you're capable, seeing that you can, finding that success, finding that you can put one step in front of the other and you can make traction. You can create an online business from home that creates in you confidence, belief. You're a more excited mom and wife. You're feeling better. Your energy is higher. And also the overwhelm is gone. The stress is gone. I've given you permission to get off of social and these things that have been keeping you held hostage in your own life that you didn't realize were an invisible prison that you were sitting in. And that's why your heart was screaming that something was wrong, but yet you didn't know how to break out of that. And so all of those pieces cause a disruption in your marriage. They cause a disruption in your heart and in your motherhood. So you have all these other things that happen when you're working with me. Cause like, I don't mess around. And also, like you said, it will get hard. Yes, it will, because I'm going to call it like it is. I'm going to tell you where you need to get it together. I'm going to tell you what's not working and it's going to be uncomfortable for you, but I'm going to get you a result. I think that's worth it, right? Yes. It's like, you don't spend money with someone to give you a fluffy 5-minute video to tell you how to go do something and not help you implement that thing. Not tell you
exactly.
Oh my gosh, you did an awful job. Can we like just rework? I wouldn't say awful though. I'd be like, so can we rework that just a little bit, you know?
Yeah. But also, Steph, huge thing is that you have to be patient, because it's not going to be overnight. And I think people just have this idea because all these other coaches are telling you how overnight it is, but it's not. You really have to be patient and stay the course.
Yeah.
Because if I was waiting for this business, for this coaching business to give me a 10K month right off the bat, I would have quit a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it's the slow growth, it's like one foot in front of the other, and just opening yourself up to the possibilities and, just putting your head down and working. Yeah. Don't look, you're the only podcast I listen to. And I'm very proud of that. I don't need all these other things, because then my mind starts to get like congested, and then I stop listening to myself, and then God's voice can be heard because I'm listening to everybody else,
Exactly. You need silence to hear divine direction.
Yes.
Let me say that again. You need silence to hear divine direction. God's not going to fight with you for your time, for your thought space. He's over here waiting for your revelation when you will be quiet and receive it. You got to let all the voices go and trust him. He'll lead you. And if the coach isn't me, fine. He'll lead you to the coach though. He'll lead you to the course, but you need to get yourself out of the way in order to let that happen. So good. Thank you for all of that advice. I know that that's blessing somebody right now. And I just want to say, I'm so proud of you. From the baby Julianna that I met a year and a half ago, who was insecure, unsure, feeling imposter, spiraling in your mind, love me, but that's what was going on.
Yeah.
You were constantly overwhelmed, and you were constantly also feeling behind, to where you sit. Like, you're so in front of the game now. You know what to do. You're confident. You're showing up. You have clients, you're selling courses, you're changing people's lives. Your episodes are on point. Your accent is amazing. Like, everything about you just makes me love you and say, I'm so proud of you. And I think that if there's one thing I can say that you've done so well, it's surrender. And you have been obedient to the word of God that came through, and you've been surrendered. And he's going to pour the favor out on your life because you've done that. You're going to experience the favor. You already are in so many different ways, but this business is just one piece of that. Having this fruitful, favorful life is a full circle, and business is one piece of that pie, and you're seeing it in all areas. So keep shining, keep glowing, keep growing. I'm so excited for you, and I just love you to pieces.
I love you too. Thank you, Steph.
You're welcome. Excuse me. Did you guys not fall in love with her? She's the best. So again, if you're interested in starting an Amazon or Etsy shop and making bank from your kitchen sink, that was just awkward. Love me. Go check out the e-commerce mama podcast with my dear friend Julianna. And guys, if you are interested in building a passive revenue business just like her, just like me, just like the many women you've heard on this show thus far, by getting clarity on their calling, right? Then they start a podcast so that they can scale one to many, so that they can pour into others from behind a microphone, so that they can scale without having to show up on social 24/7, so that they can just do this the easy way and then monetize with courses or a coaching offer or a program. You're in the right place. And I hear again and again from my students who truly commit to this process about a year and a half in. Those floodgates just burst open. And it's so beautiful to see that time and time again. I wish my journey had been that short, because here I'm going to be going on a decade of being a full-time entrepreneur, guys. But the beauty is we all start somewhere. I think you guys have such a leg up because you can go through that process with my trainings, my coaching, and my courses to get you there faster. If you're interested in that, go to stephaniegass.com/courses. Check it out. If you're not sure if I'm for you, go take my free webinar at stephaniegass.com and get some clarity on that call-in, girl, because we have some work to do. God bless you. Sending you so much love. I pray that God brings you so much revelation this week and opens time and space for you to step into your calling work, that he blesses you with his beautiful gifts, and that you hear from him in new and exciting ways. In Jesus' name, amen. I'll see you guys back here real soon.
If If you like Mama's show, leave a review. Pretty please.
Real quick, before you go, if this podcast has blessed you in some way, the number one way you can thank me is to leave a written review for the show over on Apple Podcasts. I seriously am lit up every time I hear from you guys, every time that I see that this show has impacted your life in some way. So if you'll do that for me, I would be super grateful. The second thing you can do is take a screenshot of this episode or of your review and go share it in your Instagram stories and tag me at Stephanie Gass. I'll share you in my stories, and then together we can share the love. God bless you, sis.